널 기다렸어.
Yeah, for sure. And guys, we are going to jump into Bomber versus TY up next. No more Kier versus Trap. This isn't any kind of best of 5 that we're doing here. So,
yeah, and that's over for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
barring a
no more
tiebreaker.
back-to-backs.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen anymore. Although it was kind of cool. It felt like a series. Now it's like, I guess we're going all over the place. I did post the schedule of the matches on Twitter. It's on my Twitter at ProxyWolf. I posted on the Team Liquid thread, so maybe it's probably up on the front page of the live report thread. But if you guys are wondering, like, when your favorite player is going to play or what map or whatever, the information is at least on my Twitter and probably going to be all over, Liquipedia and stuff, as people are out there uploading and fixing it right now as we speak, no doubt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those awesome people on the internet. So, I was about to say, I think we're jumping into this right now. We have 6 player setups, so everyone has a computer for the day/night. And here's Bomber, man. Look at his career, okay? Since 2011, he's been winning tournaments, a lot of foreign tournaments, making a lot of top finals, even winning in my hometown of Atlanta at the Red Bull Battlegrounds. He's been all over the place, and he's one of our oldest StarCraft 2 players.
Yeah, I think he's 28 this year, if I'm not mistaken.
He's the same age as Kanata, actually. This came up in the makeup room. It's like, Kanata was a StarCraft 1 pro gamer that, like, retired a long time ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
Bomber's the StarCraft 1 player who's still playing StarCraft 2. Like, the oldest player maybe next to Stork.
He's
he might
still
be
living
older
the
than
dream,
Stork.
man. He's still going at it, I'm not sure if he's the oldest pro gamer we have at the moment, like the current.
Well,
I'm not 100% sure.
Speaking of age, man, this guy was one of the youngest in Brood War, but he's coming to his own. Another recent GSL top performer, did lose to his teammate Zest in the finals.
And look at his qualifier run, Forte and Ragnarok. Not the hardest road to get here, to be honest. And, I mean, TY, he is one of these guys that we say he's the best of his race, right? He's the best Terran currently. Although Maru is definitely challenging that title, as he did defeat Zest in the finals.
That's right.
When they had to face up against KT.
And Maru actually didn't get to play in either Star League because he was eliminated early in both. Then went 10-0 in regular, or 11-0, I think, actually, in regular matches in Pro League. All right, so this is going to be TY's away map, so more valuable for him to win this one.
Yeah, and guys, we have a lot of Dust Towers tonight. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Dust Towers, a favored map for a lot of these players. Not exactly sure why. I mean, it's a map that they've played on for a kind of consistent period now for a long time, so obviously they're going to be comfortable. The other maps are like the new old maps, so Sejong Station and Frost, and then you got the new maps, right? Invader, Runes of Endion, and Frozen Temple. So this Dust Towers is kind of like the oldest map, I suppose, for these guys that they've practiced the most on recently. So it makes sense. Guys, we are going to jump into game number 3 of the night, Bomber versus TY. Here we are on Dust Towers again. Down here in the bottom left, the red Terran. It is Bomber from the Afrika Freaks.
And his opponent in blue, the KT Terran, it is TY. Still hasn't won a single Star League title in his career. He got his very first finals in the most recent GSL, but wasn't able to defeat his teammate. And he has played in both tournaments. In fact, last season of the Star League, like the last season we had last year, like not the previous season, but like last year's final season, he was one map away from actually going to that finals as well. So he's always on the cusp of these Star League wins, so he just hasn't taken one yet.
Yeah, and thankfully for him, he is the big favorite in this group. I think when everybody looks at this group, he's like the one guy that really stands out amongst the pack. I mean, you might look at Sue, you might look at Kier and Trap, right? But TY is the one guy where it's like, okay, this guy is getting out. And, I mean, there's a little bit of pressure on him because of that. He must know he's the favorite, but at the same time, he's such a good player that I think it's not going to matter. I think he should probably get out of this group like 8-2 at the least, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. 8-2, 7-3. Even like 9-1.
Yeah.
I think the thing about players like this is they're just so good. Like, both of them have played this type of format a lot, because in Brood War this format was used occasionally, and TY is also like a player who's used to practicing like more than 30 games a day on his own, like on ladder, and playing with his teammates and things of that nature. Bomber's played in countless up and down groups. So these guys know how to play this format. Ooh, look at this. It's time for that away cheese.
That's going to become a thing today for sure. I called it in the first game. These guys are going to be cheesing on away maps. And is it going to be a proxy starport, or is he just saving that for a late scout? Because the factory is in the main.
Six makes an eBay over there. I'm like, oh my god. Now the factory's
TY, you've gone mad.
Factory's just a bit late for a starport, I guess. He was just looking to see if his opponent was proxying one, so it's more of a scout. I got excited though, because I want the term, as you mentioned, away cheese, to be a thing.
I'm sure it'll become a thing later on in these games. And now he's got the SCV actually to tank with 2 Reapers, but not getting the favorable bounce. I made it sound like that was RNG, and like this is something from Hearthstone, that crazy RNG game, but no, he just walked into his grenade and has to back off. So,
well, listen, man,
just poking a bit.
I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone recently, and I never hated RNG as much. Like, I play a lot of RNG games. Like, I played Pokemon trading card game when I was a kid on the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Okay, I played Fire Emblem is like one of my favorite game series of all time, and I've spent hours and hours and hours on like hard mode games, or on Fire Emblem 5, and like I died at 2% crit, okay, and I've had to start over, hours of work. But when that Flame Juggler knocks my Divine Shield off, that's when I'm really mad, okay? That's got to stop. Like, anyway, you said Hearthstone, and I was triggered for a second.
Yeah. Are you all right now? You got it out of your system?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right.
Okay. That's good. We don't want anybody to be too triggered here on the broadcast.
Kanata is actually a legend Hearthstone player now, like you. He's been playing a lot of that game recently.
There's a fight going on in the middle of the map. Here we go. Looks like TY is going to get the better of this. The Reaper's trying to kill that Hellion, and he does get it. Actually, TY messing up the micro there. If he just let it continue driving away, it would have survived.
Well, that fight happened.
Yeah, that happened, man.
We're going to see this Reaper get taken out here. Cyclones are such a funny unit like this. If you actually face them one-on-one and you can out-DPS it, which very few units can one-on-one, you're just going to die every time.
Yeah, that's for sure. So TY getting a bit of a lead here with that CC on the low ground at the third base. You do see that Bomber's got his own third CC, but it's in the back door. So just playing it a bit more carefully. He did lose a couple of fights in the middle of the map. He's also getting his own Raven, just kind of sitting back at home. But overall, I do like the army composition here for Bomber, or rather for TY so far, even with that third base.
Yeah, he just has like 4 tanks overall.
Yeah, he's got 2 tanks to 0. He's got a couple more Marines and an extra Viking here. So
TVT is a matchup that is, if you don't attack early, a matchup that's decided usually around like late game pushing and almost chess-like play. So, having the larger siege tank count early, if he's not going to push with it, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to have it all game long. But it grants him a lot of safety. But look at this, he is pushing across the map, and when you do have this lead in tanks, you can sometimes threaten with it. The problem is that he's not going to have the air control. I don't think. How many Vikings does he have actually exactly?
They're 2 to 1.
Okay.
And this is kind of the way that TVT goes. It's like you just want to have one more Viking than your opponent, but obviously when a Raven comes in the mix, everything changes.
Okay, he wanted to tank it back. I was like, that's not where they go. That's not where they siege.
Yeah, he just lets the Marines run forward up the ramp or something. That would be awkward. Cyclone comes out here, snipes a Marine, which is actually important before this fight starts.
That's right. All right, look, this Raven here is going to not actually be very helpful. It can't actually fire. And look at this. The Viking control is still currently in TY's favor. He's actually going to try to bum rush the tanks, but it has some hesitations and backs off.
And another tank out here to deal just with TY's army. He actually pulled all the SCVs, and TY sieging the CC now. But Bomber is going to win the air war, so TY going to have to rely on scans here.
Yeah, but he actually is still under controlling that that CC. Is he not going to lift it? Like, what is he doing? He needs to cancel and lift. Okay, here comes the SCVs to repair, but they're in siege tank range. Looks like he just wanted to wait till the last second. But this is like a massive win for TY overall. Like, I can't even overstate. Look at these tanks.
The one Marine steps forward before the tanks are sieged up, gets the vision here. And TY's done a ton of damage. He doesn't necessarily need to overstay his welcome. It looks like he wants to back off, group up once again, and go for another push.
Now Bomber's controlled his secondary ramp. The problem with that whole situation was that TY was on his ramp, so he couldn't even go down. He didn't have medevacs because he went so many Vikings. He couldn't even like lift his tanks and send them down the ramp. They had to drive down the ramp where they're like the very edge, the very end corner was controlled by TY. So now he's controlled this. I worry about TY committing because he doesn't have air control anymore, even though he does have the larger tank count. It looks like he just wants to go for the mineral line here. This is going to be pretty scary.
I mean, is he just going to drop over here, or is he going to go for that back door? A lot of Bomber's units are out of position, and here we go. Going to fly on by the turret and just drop into the back door. And Bomber, again, he's got nothing back here to defend.
Yeah, he's going to tank evac one tank home, but that's not enough. The Marines that are coming are very late, and they're not going to be able to deal with this. He's losing a ton of mining as a result. Lost a refinery already as well. And he's doing a counter drop. TY doesn't have much of an answer for this. Okay, I say that he does sim some Marines down, so he should be fine. And this is just a big win.
And Bomber loses that entire medevac, it looks like, back at the base of TY. So huge win there for TY. Both these players now supply blocked, even TY, but TY is just doing massive damage, not allowing this backdoor base to mine.
Yep. Tanks edging closer. He's even going to use a Seeker missile here. And that will just be dodged by the tank evac, which is why that, even though people thought that was going to be really cool in Legacy of the Void, it's like, no, tank evacs just basically make that useless. But this base is just not mining. It's 3 base versus 2. TY's already taken a huge lead in army supply, and he's actually just going to bum rush these tanks.
Look at that. Just splits the Marines, kills both tanks. Now Bomber loses the front fight. He is going to send some more reinforcements over there, but TY's even got a small group of Marines over here doing nothing. I thought there was a medevac with them. Perhaps he could have gone for a drop. But
yeah, I'm not sure what happened with that, actually. I don't have an answer. And there's going to be moments like this tonight in this insanely long broadcast where I just look at you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
I mean, Bomber's going to have +2 faster. He evened up the army supply. He's going for a counter push, but he needs to do some serious work to make up for all the lost mining time, as TY's even taking a 4th base right now. And that's not even like a lifted CC. That's like a legit 4th. Like, he made a 4th CC and floated it.
Yeah. Looks like Bomber just wants to counterattack. Loses the Raven before the fight even starts here. Not wanting to run his Marines into the tank line. But TY in a nice setup here.
That was a really cool scan by Bomber, because he knew he was probably going to lose vision. And the air control is still, if I am not mistaken, heavily in Bomber's favor. Okay, heavily in that 2 to 0.
That's heavily nowadays in TVT, I suppose.
Not a lot of people really commit to Vikings in this matchup right now, because if you make one mistake, you can lose them all to Marines anyways, and you just kind of get outmaneuvered, and your opponent just picks up the tanks.
And you want the medevacs, too, to pick up the tanks, pick up the Marines. So less starport time spent on Vikings. And here we go. Some more Marines. A nice little drop into the back door. Going to force a pull. Won't get too much damage done. But he wants to distract Bomber and perhaps take a fight in the middle of the map at the same time. Going to stim forward.
It's a game of chicken here. Who drops the tanks first? And Marines traded on both sides. But still, this drop is getting damage done. He's actually going to win this Marine fight? Okay, barely not. Bomber has the better upgrades. And 2 more Marines doing a little bit more damage here. TY takes a pretty significant worker lead, but I almost wonder if he has too many. At 72 currently.
Yeah, I mean, Bomber's basically at the same army supply at this point, so he's not going to do bad in a fight. And as you were saying, the upgrade's very nice here for Bomber. They've kind of evened up at this point for both players. It's really going to be who's going to get the better engage here between these 2 players.
Yeah. And TY has more control right now. He's even going to start making turrets. This is something he's famous for, is just kind of turret pushing when he has a slight lead.
Yeah.
Not a massive commitment. He's going to send a few Marines forward here. I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, and keep in mind, while he sets up this soft contain, he's got a 4th base back at home landed. He's got a 5th CC on the way, too. He's really playing this for the late game and just controlling on this very big map. And Bomber, it looks like he doesn't want to have any of it, but a really nice scan there by TY to see where he's going.
Okay, this actually might be too much. Bomber has so many Marines here, but he's walking into a concave. It's actually very close right now, but I think Bomber may just break this. And yes, he will. He has the better upgrades, and he's pushing through these tanks right now.
Killing a bunch of these tanks, and a lot of these Marines are going to follow up here for TY, but the tanks on the left side are all alone, and they all get taken out.
Bomber's like, what's the counter to siege tanks? You thought you thought it was more siege tanks? It's like, no, it's actually more Marines. He just simply ran over those tanks, and even their siege mode, he didn't care. But he needs to do more because, again, like you said, TY has 4 bases and even a 5th CC.
Yeah, and look at all the sensor towers, too, that he's got all over the map. Even the one on the left side. There's no way that Bomber goes for any kind of counter drop. I forget who he was playing against. I think it might have been Bunny or one of these, mid-tier Terrans where he just went for a massive counter, Doom drop, and he actually won the game when he was behind. So TY knows that about Bomber, and he's just going to deny it with a million sensor towers. Yeah. So cool.
And the thing is, he's so far ahead he can afford this. He's just playing chicken with these tanks. He's like, yeah, send your Marines in. Oh, he goes for the shot, loses a tank, but actually does a lot of damage.
Yeah,
he's trying to outmaneuver this.
Really got to be careful here. He's playing a game of chicken that he's actually losing right now.
But you know what? He's actually built a Viking count. This is what I was hoping we were going to start to see more of in TVT. Because, like, when you play this game of chicken over these walls, you can actually kill medevacs, and you can kill tankovacs. Like, you can get a tank in there if you get the shots off right. This is really cool.
Look at Bomber. He's kind of freaking out. He's like, well, you've got 6 Vikings in the air. What do I do now? I can't exactly fight into that.
Bomber is doing, man, what he does just right now. And like I said, he's like, Marines counter everything, counter Ultras, counter Vikings, and counter tanks. Look at this, 2 tankovacs dead already. He's got the better sieged up position. Bomber's going to commit. He's got a huge counter Marines.
And I think he may be able to break this. He's going to kill all the tanks at the bottom and all the tanks on the right. And there we go. Looks like Bomber's going to take the massive lead in the army supply with that one attack. And this is Bomber's chance. He's got a massive lead here. He has to go for the counterattack.
Yeah, he really does. I think he has to go for the heart, actually. I'd say, you know what, just go for the main base, stop the production, because he knows.
The production.
Yeah, because TY has so much money, and he's even just going to slow this down with just 2 tankovacs. I think Bomber needs to go for the heart and cut it out right now, or else he's going to be in trouble. Okay, he is going for it. Boosting towards that natural now. He wants to control the natural ramp.
2 Vikings not going to be enough to stop these medevacs from getting into position. 1 tank also not going to do it. Some more tanks dropping over here. But Bomber does have him by the throat at the bottom of this ramp. See what he wants to do from here. He can't quite get into the main just yet. He is going to snipe both the Vikings.
Don't forget, TY doesn't have +3 armor yet, which has been a big issue throughout all of this. He's going to have it soon, but maybe too little too late. All right, he is holding on, though. He has that massive economy. He's actually going to go for a counter drop. This is greedy. But it may be able to bring it back to this game. Oh, I don't like this. There's too many tanks on the low ground to commit to this fight. Gets a few medevacs, but Bomber is trading insanely well right now.
Yeah, now the SCVs are going to be pulled. It's the last chance here for TY to hang on, and he may have done it. He's got a massive concave now on the ground, and a bunch of these tanks are going to go down.
Yeah, I think those were actually the drops. I thought he was going to counterattack with the, counter drop with. He actually just left him with GG. He holds it. And oh man, that was a surprising result there. Like that game was all over the place. So we saw like experimentation on both sides.
Yeah.
Like Bomber is trying to just brute force Wings of Liberty Marine tank his way through these battles, like Marine King style. If you guys watch Marine King Wings of Liberty, you see him like just chunk down tanks like that with massive counts of Marines with better upgrades. He actually had that game, I feel like almost won, but he didn't commit hard enough, fast enough. TY sent those medevacs to counter drop him. I was like, I don't know, you're going to lose your production. Then he actually just surrounded the army with them instead of sending them to go to the drop.
It's like he didn't have enough medevacs to get everything into the main, it looked like, which was kind of unfortunate because I definitely agree with you. Going for the production at that point would have been really nice. If he got the tanks up there on the high ground when the rest of TY's stuff was outside of the base, you really could have done a massive amount of damage. But again, he doesn't see the same things we do. We have the entire view of the map. He didn't know exactly how much damage he did. So Bomber was close, actually, against TY. I didn't expect him to be that close.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like Bomber has really improved a lot in his past few matches over the past few months. So now we have 3 away map wins in a row, which is kind of funny. Didn't expect to see that like off the bat, but
No, not at all.
For top-level pro gamers, the map isn't as important as people on Reddit or forum pros think it is.
Yeah, I think that's somewhat true, especially when you're looking at TY versus Bomber.
A mirror matchup.
Yeah, it's definitely heavily favored towards TY. So, guys, it looks like we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back before game number 4.